What is up, everyone? I am DeviantCringe, and ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to be doing yet another art review. Oh yes, everyone. So I got a pretty good amount of notes over the last couple of days, and some pretty cool artists lined up for today. So yeah, sit back, relax, and enjoy. And the first artist we got for today is Blue Girl 123456, a Samantha female from Malaysia, and she's been on DA for 2 years. So she actually sent me one picture in the note, and that one is, of course, this one. So the picture itself doesn't look bad per se, but there definitely is a lot of room for improvement. The first thing I can tell you is the face looks really hilarious. Honestly, these big lips kind of remind me of those dragons from, I don't know if you actually played that game, but it was like this really obscure game from the 90s. I think it's called The Lost Souls of Tong Now or something. And there are like two dragons that are like guarding a passage, and their lips are just as big as this. It's a pretty funny and obscure game, and half of the time you really don't even know what the hell you're doing. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. And the second thing is, this left whisker right here is actually cut off at the end. You probably like copied the same whisker and all that, but I think if you wanted to go with that approach, you should have just, you know, like completed the this one first and copied it over here, because it's cut off at the end. Now the shading, on the other hand, actually does look quite nice. You're definitely improving on that. Like over here on the neck and the arm, it does look quite natural and all that. Over here, it does look kind of a little bit blurry, and the coloring itself, it's nicely balanced. You know, not too much and all that stuff. A pretty even balance of you know, light cold colors. The background itself is actually pretty cool. I do like that you know, that particular style of background. You know, the color scheme and all that. The detail work on the face is actually pretty good. You know, you really definitely spent a lot of time working on those. But the face itself, like the anatomy and the giant lips, should definitely work a little bit more on that. Unless this is exactly what you were going for, then I gotta say thumbs up. You definitely made it look like one of the dragons from the Lost Souls of Tong Now, which again I do recommend you check out because it is pretty hilarious. So that's pretty much it. You know, be sure to work a little bit on your facial features, and of course, you know, if you're gonna be copying body parts, make sure that it's one that's like completely in frame, so you don't have you know, this happening again. And you know, like the facial detailing is actually pretty good. You know, the shading and all that is pretty nice. So you should also probably try experimenting with a little bit more detail work on the body. You know, maybe add some scales and all that, a little bit more detailing over here. But yeah, other than that, it looks quite nice. There's definitely a room for improvement, and you're definitely getting better, you know, judging by your other pictures right here. Dragon and the Peach. In Chinese mythology, Xiantao is a peach that gives immortality. Well, that's actually pretty cool, I gotta say. So the next artist we got for today is BentGlasses, spelled with a Q, Mayo Magic Man, digital art hobbyist, Leah, female from Canada. She's been on DA for 1 year, and she actually sent me two pictures for me to review in her note. And the first one is this one, a nice little picture of sands and all that. Now, first off, I'm not really that much of a fan of the whole no line work art style, which is actually pretty ironic since my favorite cartoon of all time is Samurai Jack and has a no line work art style. But I digress. You know, like, it does actually end up working sometimes. Now, the first thing you can work a little bit on is, of course, the leg bones. They kind of look a little bit too thick, to be totally honest. Like, I think they could be thinned out to like maybe here. And of course, you could also do a little bit of smoothing out on the insides, as well as maybe fixing a little bit of the symmetry. Like this one looks higher than this one. You know, like it looks like there's more bone in this leg than this one. It's not too obvious, but yeah, definitely something that could use a little bit of touching up. The rest of Sans actually looks quite nice, I gotta say, for your particular art style. The background, on the other hand, could use a little bit more sharpening. I know what you were going for, like you know, the main center focus of the picture, but the pine trees in the background kind of look like they're smudges, you know. But overall, it actually looks nice. I do like the little shadows, adding a little bit of a more dimension and detail to his slippers, and of course the you know, minimalist detail work on the clothes, as well as the collarbone and the collar of the shirt. Looks pretty good, and the snow itself is actually pretty nicely drawn. It looks very realistic and all that, because real snow is usually like in tufts and all that. Sleeping in the snow, what a legend. And the second picture that she sent me is this one, and as you can see, there definitely is a lot of improvement in this particular picture. Over here we have, you know, Pearl looking all sad at the sunset, probably thinking of Rose. As we can see in the background here, there's definitely a nice change between, you know, bright to dark and all that. And the coloring itself is actually really beautiful. Like the cold cyan colors on Pearl go really well with the warm white and pink. And now for the things that could use a little bit of improvement, it's not too much, but the first thing is a little bit more conspicuous. So you probably didn't notice this, but over here we have a star that's actually going over the cloud. As well as over here, this could be, you know, just touched up with a little bit of the eraser tool. And of course, the shadow itself. Now the shadow, you could try a little bit more with it. Now, instead of the usual, like, blob shadow, you could do a little bit of experimentation, you know, like, try to make, you know, the shape of Pearl, but stretched out a little bit. It actually looks quite nice, I gotta say. And another thing that I also like is, of course, the white outline right here. Like, as you can see on the body, you know, like, there's barely any. But over here on the top, higher up on the body, there's more, which basically kind of makes it look like she has a really nice glow to her and all that, which is pretty fitting since, you know, since she is a gem and all that, and gems do have a really nice, bright, shining finish. So a nice touch on that, I gotta say. Wheezes, I'm kind of proud of this. Hey, Wheeze. Well, you should be proud of it because it looks really nice. And the third and final artist we have for today is Wolfy-ChanArtz, a digital art hobbyist. Wolfy-ChanArtz, a female from the Philippines. She's been on DA for 2 weeks, and she actually sent me a note to, you know, just take a look at her art and all that. So I picked out 2 pictures by myself, and the first one I got my eyes on is this one. And obviously, ladies and gentlemen, obviously you all know my one weakness, and I gotta say it, the fades. Oh my god, that is so beautiful. I absolutely love this color scheme. You know, teal transitioning to blue, just, oh my god, beautiful. Huge thumbs up to that, like seriously. So now with that out of the way, you should definitely try to work on your line work and all that. Especially on the head over here, it kind of looks a little bit beat up and out of shape. Now, the biggest piece of advice I can tell you when working on line work is, you know, practice makes perfect, you know, like, or repetition is key. When you're doing line work, just be sure to, if it looks out of place or if it just doesn't look quite right to you, you know, don't be afraid to just delete the line and start over again. And try to do that as many times until it looks exactly the way you want it and all that. And the second thing you should work a bit on is the anatomy. Like over here on the waist of the male character, there's a straight line, while over here there's a diagonal and of course a curve for his hips. It kind of makes it look like his body is being squished from one side. So definitely take a look on that. You should practice your hand anatomy. Like over here, the middle finger looks really fat compared to the other ones. And the hands themselves kind of look a bit too small. So the piece of advice I like to give you is look at your own hands and you know, examine how they look like, you know, these natural poses, like, you know, straight down, you know, relaxed, and of course holding hands, and try to incorporate that into your own style. Like, I have heard that using your own body as a reference is actually the best reference. I don't know how true that is, but it's definitely a good starting point, so, you know, try that. Yeah, work a little bit on the hand anatomy, the line work, and of course the waist of this character. You know, make it a little bit more uniform and well-rounded. So yeah, the coloring itself is actually quite nice. I do like that the colors, you know, like crisscross with each other. Pretty cool, a pretty cool touch, I gotta say. And yeah, that is pretty much it. Charcalia, Nice, a OCX canon ship. Akia belongs to me, Charming Goals belong to SBS and Line Friends. And the second picture that I picked out is this one right here. First thing I gotta say that you definitely did really well with is the hair. Like, the hair looks really beautiful, you know, very nice and flowing. You know, the line work on the hair is nice and uniform. Now, it could use a tiny bit of smoothing out, but it actually looks really nice. And over here on the body itself, I do gotta say you're definitely getting better with your hand anatomy. Just keep going at it a little bit. There are some errors, like fingers look a little bit too straight. This thumb is a little bit flattened. This one goes into a sharp point. So yeah, just keep going at it and you'll definitely get better over time. And as we can see over here on the waist, this is like a side perspective. So over here we have a nice rounded curve, as well as over here, which makes it look really nice and natural, you know, compared to the previous picture, which was a straight line right here. Overall, I do like it. You know, it does show a lot of improvement and all that. Again, I really do like the coloring choice. You know, nice and mellow and all that, not too much, not too little. Over here on the hair, as you can see, there is a little bit of fade of yellow, which actually is pretty nice. I gotta say, thumbs up to that. Name: Akia Dragon Wolf, age 1000, and here are colors. Akia the Dragon Wolf ref sheet, a ref sheet of my main OC, and it is a pretty cool OC, I gotta say. Well, everyone, that's pretty much it. It's all I got for today. I hope you all enjoyed the artists that we got, and yeah, thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe and press the bell icon, and if you wish to support me in any way, my page link is in the description below. And as always, I'm DeviantCringe, and I'll be seeing you guys else in the next video.